Tatawagin ko po ngayon ang susunod po na babati sa imedya sa Australia, isa po sa pinakamahalagang historiador ng Southeast Asia. Ang kanyang aklat po ay binoto na isa sa pinaka-influential books on Southeast Asia. Siya po ang autor ng Pasyon and Revolution. At siya po ay pinagmamalaki kong visiting professor ng De La Salle University, History Department, at ilang beses pong nakasama natin sa Philippine Historical Association. Mga kaibigan, karangalan ko po at karangalan po nating makasama si Dr. Reynaldo Ileto.
Okay.
Okay. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Salamat. Xiao, medyo napigla ako sa invitation mo eh. Anyway, kaya ako pumayag na mag-join sa inyo is because I wanted to see you. Dahil dito sa Canberra, wala akong kausap. Except my wife, of course. And I have only one colleague, one historian friend who I see once a week. Other than that, wala. Pero marami ako nakikitang kangaroo. Every afternoon, twice, 3 times a week, I walk to the hill and nearby, and maraming kangaroo doon. They're good company actually, kasi tuwing malapit ako sa kanila, they always stand in attention. Kala mo, they are saluting me and waiting for their commander-in-chief. So I have only a few ideas to present to you in 5 minutes, because I think I might as well say something, because I have been studying the PHA, and that is why I have been able to give you some talks in the past about the role of the PHA in nation building. So I thought I would just remind everyone that the PHA was born in the 50s, di ba? 1950, ano bang year yun? 50?
Kung 65 tayo ngayon, o Xiao?
1955 po.
1955, ah?
1955.
Thank you,
Doctor. That is the age of decolonization, right? And so
Yes.
one of the goals of the PHA was to decolonize history.
Yes.
Which I have shown in a previous talk that this was also the project of historians in the regions, Indonesia, Thailand, not so much Thailand, Indonesia and Malaysia, and other countries which were colonized. But I just want to point out something that people may have overlooked. Mm-hmm. The fact that after 1945, after MacArthur returned and liberated the Philippines, the so-called liberated, there was so much excitement and euphoria about the American liberators that there was an attempt to turn the Filipino-American war against Japan and the victory into the foundational event of the national narrative. I don't know if we realized that after 1946, people really wanted to make the Filipino-American struggle against Japan the most important event overshadowing the Philippine Revolution. And I think that our pioneering historians like Agoncillo, even De La Costa, all of those who were active in the PHA when it was founded, they made sure that the Philippine Revolution against Spain and the Philippine-American War and the Republic would remain the foundational event. Of course, they won. They won the battle. And it is significant. The battle was won completely when the date of our Independence Day was moved from July 4 to June 12. That was actually a very important event, and the PHA was responsible for that. So, and also together with that was the restoration of Aguinaldo to his proper place in our history. But even today, it's still being disputed, but we forget that one of the aims of American colonial education was to downgrade the Filipino, to make to make us Filipinos forget the Filipino-American War, but to remember the war against Spain. And so Aguinaldo's position as the leader of the resistance against the U.S. Was something that they wanted also to minimize in history. And in fact, Aguinaldo was demonized for most of his career. You know, after the war, just because he was able to get into politics and challenge Quezon in was it in the doesn't mean that that his position was assured in history. The Americans kept on trying to put him down, but we Filipinos also are trying to put him down in a funny way. Anyway, I want to connect this to what is happening this year. Kasi nga, 2020 is a very significant year. The pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
The pandemic is the context of a bigger event, you know, which is the, I think it's the desperate attempt of the American empire to retain its global dominance, you know, its unipolar status.
Right.
And to maintain this special relationship with the Philippines is actually a very crucial thing for them. You know, they need the Philippines. It's their most important aircraft carrier. You know, from the Philippines, it's easy for them to carry out their projects. So, how is this connected to the 1950s? Well, the historians of the 50s successfully prevented the Filipino-American War against Japan from becoming the foundational event in our history. They made sure that the Philippine-American War would remain important. They insisted on the notion of the unfinished revolution, for example. Right. The Americans would have wanted us to think that it was finished by them when they supposedly helped us in driving out the Spaniards.
All right.
So the connection with today is that as members of the PHA, although I don't think I am a formal member, but I think it's because of my friends that they drew me in, but I would love to be a member.
We will work that out, sir. We will work that out.
Can you formalize that, Xiao? Because I think that I am only an honorary member. Just like here in Australia, in ANU, I'm only honorary professor. I'm only honorary this, honorary that. Anyway, to go back to my last statement, we should remember that the PHA of the 50s successfully kept alive the notion of the unfinished revolution.
Right.
And that the 1890s and not the 1940s should be the foundational period of the nation's history. And so today, we are faced with a choice, you know, are we going to, which side are we going to join in this, you know, there is a big war that is taking place under the cover of the COVID. You know, we are focused on the COVID, but actually there's a bigger conflict that is taking place, and that could lead to a much worse disaster than a pandemic, which is a nuclear war. So are we going to kind of continue the work of the 1950s PHA historians in making sure that we steer an independent path,
right,
in our national development and not be tied to Uncle Sam?
Wow.
That's all. That's my my thought for this evening and for the 65th anniversary of the PHA. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for contextualizing the birth of the PHA. Ito nga talaga yun eh. When the historians met in Carbungco Restaurant 65 years ago, today, tonight, you will see that these historians were actually, their aim is not just to create an organization, but to also break a stand against that time, which was the time of neo-colonialism. Diba? That is also what Vanny Biernes said, na ito'y panahon ng mga historiador na naggigiit na magkaroon ng kasaysayang maka-Pilipino. Thank you, Sir Ray Ileto. Maraming po salamat sa inyong pagpunta dito. We are honored by your presence. Now, from one nationalist historian to another nationalist historian, may babati po sa atin. Ang tao po ito ay malaki rin ng papel tulad ni Sir Ray dun sa ating metodolohiya sa kasaysayan. Because Sir Ray showed us through Passion and Revolution that we should look for history from the margins, not just from documents from the rich, but from the margins. Yung susunod po nating babati sa atin ay laging nakakasama din natin sa Philippine Historical Association, lalo na itong mga nagdaang panahon. Ang tao pong ito ay may malaking papel sa ating historiografiya sapagkat marami ho siyang nahulmang mga historiador na hanggang ngayon ay impluensyado ng kanyang kaisipan na hindi lamang magsulat ng kasaysayan na may metodo at matalas na kaisipan at kritikal na kaisipan, kundi isang metodong maka-Pilipino at inahatid at para sa Pilipino. Mga kaibigan, magpugay po tayo sa pinagpupugayan po pala tayo ang PHA ng ating kasama at kaibigan at ama ng Pantayong Pananaw, Dr. Zeus Salazar.
Maligayang pagbati sa ika-65 taong pagkatatag ng Philippine Historical Association. Maganda ang nakikita kong direksyon ng samahang ito. Hindi na lamang ang Pilipinas ang inyong pinagkakaabalahan, kundi pati na ang Timog Silangang Asya sa Wari. Partikular, nakikita ko ang inyong magandang pakikipag-ugnay sa Malaysia, kung saan ang samahang pagkasaysayan nito ay inyong kinakaugnay ngayon. Muli, maligayang pagbati sa mga pinuno ng samahan at aking inimite na lalo pang umunlad ang samahang ito. Kailan, pagdating ng oras, ay magkaka-interest kayo sa buong mundo. Siguro, partikular, sa simula, tungkol sa kasaysayan ng Espanya at ng Amerika, ng Hapon, at malay no, hanggang sa Afrika. Mabuhay kayong lahat.
Marami pong salamat, Dr. Zeus Salazar, sa inyong pagbati.